All right, welcome Mentorship Masters members. It's another exciting, what we call roundtable meetup. Why is it a roundtable? Well, it's a roundtable because it's not about me. It's about you and getting the questions answered that you have. And it's every single one of us. Remember in the medieval times, in the old times, they would have a round table, which signified that everybody at the table had the same level of importance, right? So that's what we call a round table meetup. I've got some great stuff to cover. And then I want to get to y'all's questions. So we're going to go about an hour on this call, I always call it a call, but bear with me. We'll go about an hour, and then if those of you that need to stay after class can, and those of you that are ready to leave can do that. We may not even go over, so it might be all good. So I'm going to put up. All right, David Speedy. He just funded on a listing. Woo! I love hearing that. Congratulations, brother. I love that. High five, man. Your first EXP listing. And by the way, when you guys close your first listing with EXP, it unlocks my Cadillac system, which is my complete seller guide and everything like that. So that's my $1,000 package gets unlocked for you after you close your first transaction. What I want to start off with is this is our book of the month. It's called Letting Go. Now, remember our first book was this one. For those of you that are new to Mentorship Masters, welcome all the new members. Hey, we're having fun. The Power of Your Subconscious Mind. And by the way, I have all these books listed. If you go to this book that you should have gotten in the mail, Triple My Listings. If you're new and you haven't gotten this, remember, we'll send it to you for free. I've got a list of books in the back. If you just want to skip ahead, like some of y'all, like Teacher's Pet. We used to call them Teacher's Pets. You guys like to skip ahead. If you like to read, most people nowadays don't like to read, and I get it. But remember, guys, readers are leaders. And if you wanna skip the learning curve, reading is a great thing. Now, one of the things that I do is I go out and read all these books for you, and then I bring them back to the class so you don't have to waste your time reading a bunch of stuff that won't apply to you. This is another book that we finished, The Secret to Permanent Prosperity, great lessons, The Secret to Permanent Prosperity. But now we're on Letting Go. So I wanted to just kind of share a couple of observations from Letting Go. And then I want to give you guys an excerpt of a big announcement. I mean, it's big. I think it's big. I think you will too. In an excerpt of what I call attraction secrets. Okay. I know that not everyone is so big into attraction. I think that one of the things that turns some people off actually to EXP is that we are all about it. I mean, we have so much emphasis on attracting other agents, but I love it. I mean, it's just exciting to me. I enjoy, because I know that 87% of agents fail, according to the National Association of Realtors. And it's not necessary. There's really no need to fail in this business if you have the right mentor and coach. And so I'm trying to grab them. I mean, why just let them slip off a slippery slope? We might say, well, hey, we don't want to go and recruit and do it. Well, I like recruiting because I know that most agents will fail where they currently are. That's just a hard fact. A lot of them will succeed. See, an agent that is successful, here's the truth. I want you to write this down and commit it to memory. An agent that is successful will succeed anywhere. Okay, they don't have to be in Mentorship Masters. They don't have to be at EXP. They don't have Remax, Keller. It doesn't matter. You can succeed at any company. Okay. Now we like to at any company we're with. When I was with Remax, we talked about, hey, Remax is the best. Keller Williams, same thing. We drank the Kool-Aid there. EXP, same thing. Oh, EXP. The truth is, if you succeed, I was doing 100 deals a year. I would do that at any company. So the question then becomes not what company will make you successful. That's not the question. The question is, what is the right platform for me? Since I already know that I'm going to succeed, what platform would be most conducive to my business? Okay. And so I just look at EXP as a platform, okay, for me to do my business on, that I'm going to succeed in any way. And Mentorship Masters, what we do here, the reason why we're in existence is we allow you to take a 5 to 7 year learning curve off. Okay, so you can learn all this stuff on your own. You can stumble across, like, you can find books like Letting Go like 10 years from now, because I guarantee you there's no coaching, you know, I'm not bragging on us, but I'm saying there's no real estate coaching company in America that's going to tell you to read this book, or even The Power of Your Subconscious Mind. It just doesn't exist. And but if you look at your bookshelf right now, you'll notice that 80% of the books on there are not real estate related. Okay, they're just related to PD, personal development, making you the best person that you possibly can be. So with that, I want to go into my copy of Letting Go. Now I have this on audio in Audible. And of course, I always get the printed copies of my books as well. You don't have to. I have one of my dear friends, his name is Mike Bastian. He was one of the top coaches at MAPS Coaching. And he can't read. He's dyslexic, okay? So he cannot read, but he's an incredible coach, a great trainer, and he just does everything on Audible. So there's more than one way to skin a cat. But what I like to do with my books is I like to highlight them. You can see here, I like to highlight the pages that are relevant to me. I like to circle certain things. Sometimes I'll put an asterisk, or I'll put notes out to the sidebars, the margins. That's why I like books that have big margins in them, because I like to write in the margins. And this is a practice, guys. Don't just read a book like, oh yeah, I read that. And here's the thing, you'll read a book and 5 months or 5 years later, you'll read the same book and it'll be a different book to you. Why? Because you're a different person. The you that is you 5 years from now is the different you that is you now. Okay, if you're on the personal development path. What Jesus says is Scripture says we go from glory to glory. We go from glory to glory. That means we're constantly improving. We're constantly getting better. So you'll notice that I have a lot of stuff on the sidebars, and it just tells me when I go back. This is something that most of you guys already know and probably already do. But for those of you that don't do this, it's a great practice. So what I want you to be thinking about and putting in the chat are some of the things, maybe even some of the questions that you have around this book, okay? And I'm going to just share a couple of observations, not too many, but I'll share a couple of observations from the book that I really like. Now, on page 18, it talks about this whole concept of vibration. Now, I'm a very intellectual person, okay? I was in all the gifted classes, okay? And I'm just giving you a background on me, just so there might be some of you out there that are like this. So I was put in all the gifted classes at school, didn't want to be in any gifted classes because I wanted to be the cool kid. I didn't want to be gifted, you know? It was like a curse. Sometimes intellectual acumen can be a curse to some people. But I've always loved to read. It's just something that I've always loved. When I was in 5th grade, I was reading on a sophomore college level based on my scoring in that area. And I just loved reading. I loved using the imagination, okay? And so I like kind of getting into a lot of this kind of stuff. But when you start talking to me about vibration, karma, when you start talking to me about the law of attraction, that was a bunch of gobbledygook. You know, I wasn't trying to believe that crap. I just didn't believe it. But when I really started to study it, here's actually what happened. Remember that we have 4 bodies, okay? We have a spiritual body, we have a mental body, we have an emotional body, and then we also have a physical body, okay? So what happened with me is that I shut down. My mental body was at full capacity, but my emotional body was shut down. I actually taught myself not to feel. And that comes from being in a very abusive home, okay? So I was abused as a child, so I taught myself that it wasn't safe to feel. And so because of that, I shut out a lot of things that had to do with me actually encountering my feelings, okay? And so I would be considered maybe what you might call passive aggressive, you know? So when you read things like this, and you don't have the right frame of reference, books like this will come across as really weird. However, when you look at them and then you look at scripture, okay, you'll see that it just lines up. It just lines up. So on page 18, he says, as Jesus Christ said, why do you see the splinter which is in your brother's eye and do not feel the beam which is in your own eye? That's Matthew 7:3. All the great masters point to us from within. So the journey that we have is an inward journey, okay? Now, it says everything in the universe emits a vibration. The higher the vibration, the more power it has. Emotions also, because they are energy, emit vibrations. These emotional vibrations impact the body's energy fields and reveal effects that can be seen, felt, and measured. Motion pictures using Kirlian photography show, as those done by Dr. Thelma Moss, they show rapid fluctuations of the color and size of the energy field with changes of emotion. So this was documented and studied in 1974, where they would have this Kirlian photography that would actually look, if you got upset, if you got angry, if you got jealous, your body actually is emitting different frequencies when those things happen. And so the energy field is traditionally has been called an aura, okay? Now, scientists have proven from the body emits a field that you can catch on certain cameras that is what they call an aura. It emits around from the heart. By the way, the heart has its own intelligence, it's a different brain. The Homo sapien has 3 brains that we've discovered so far, okay? We have a brain here, that's what most people give credit, the mental brain. We actually have a brain in our heart, and Doc Childers did 40 years of research on this. He came up with a study, it's called the Heart Math Method. It's a book, it's also a complete study, where he actually proves that the brain, there is brain intelligence, okay? We also have in our gut, in our stomach, we have another brain, okay? So 90+% of the serotonin of the human body is created in the gut, as well as other chemicals, okay? So a lot of people that have what we call an imbalance, chemical imbalance, the chemical imbalance isn't always here. A lot of times it's in the gut area. So he goes on to say, this means that we routinely and unwittingly affect others by our emotional state and thoughts. Now listen to this. Because emotions emit a vibrational energy field, they affect and determine the people who are in our lives. You hear that? So your own vibration, and you'll notice this when you start to think higher thoughts, when you start to think bigger things, you start attracting different people. Like Jesus said, salvation is free, but and he did say count the cost, right? Why? Because even though salvation is free, it'll cost you everything you have. Yeah, it'll cost you your friends, it'll cost you your relationships, it'll cost you a lot of other, it'll even cost you your own identity, okay? Because now your identity is in Christ and not in self, if you will. So you lose your identity that way as well. Now, this is very important. I want you to listen to what he says here, page 19. He says, the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. Those who have get. By the way, these are biblical principles. A lot of times we look at it like, man, the rich just keep getting richer. Yes. Why is that? Because they are in a certain vibrational frequency, a certain vibrational field, right? That they are attracting more of the same thing to them. I've taught you guys before that success is really doing the same thing over and over and getting the same result. Let me say it again. Success is doing the same thing over and over and getting the same result. Now we know the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result, okay? But honestly, success is really, it gets to a point where it becomes boring. Because, for example, I'll give you an example. My last year in production, I sold 153 houses, okay? It gets to a point where you can sell 150 homes a year, right? So what? It's no longer exciting. Like a lot of people are like, man, how's it feel to sell 100 homes a year? I mean, once you check that box, guys, I got to tell you, it's not that there's an emptiness behind it. It's just that you're looking at like, now what? So when I was at that crossroad, there was two choices for me. Number one choice was, okay, let's take it to 400 deals a year. The second choice was, let's go ahead and basically teach other people how to do what we've done. Okay, and you'll find that people that have discovered success can go one of two ways. They either go, typically this is how it happens, guys. They either go in a way where they just continue to be more and more successful, but hoard it to themselves, okay? Or they go more philanthropic, if I'm saying that word right, toward philanthropy or toward helping others. Because honestly, there's no greater feeling in the world than to pass on the knowledge that you have to other people. It's just unexplainable. I get people all the time, they say, man, Knolly, why are you giving all, if the secrets are so great, why are you giving them all away? Well, I'm glad Jesus didn't feel that way because he came to bring salvation to the world. And it's a great feeling. I'm glad the disciples didn't keep it all to themselves. You know, there's no greater feeling. And it's hard to even explain to a person, like, this is my ministry. So for example, when you can't even explain to a person why you're paying it. If they don't get it, they just don't get it. Like it can't be explained. But I guarantee you, when they asked Rockefeller, he was the richest man in the world at the time. The richest man in the world. Okay, Rockefeller. And they asked him, a reporter just asked him, he said, dude, how much is enough? Like you own billions, you own this, you've got mansions all over the world. How much is enough? You know what his answer was? Just a little bit more. How much is enough? Just a little bit more. And that's the insatiable appetite of the ego. The mind of man and the heart of man is driven, if not checked and corrected, okay, it's just driven to more and more and more. And at the end of the day, it don't mean squat, okay? This morning, I went to the funeral of a 42-year-old, okay? Used to be my personal trainer. And he left his little girl behind. He died on his birthday a week ago. He was just out having fun in Florida, and he happened to jump into the ocean, and it was a little too tumultuous and took him away, and he drowned, okay? Guys, I got to tell you, it's not all the trophies that you build up in this life that are going to last. It's the things that you actually leave behind. And I guarantee you, I got a whole bunch of YouTube videos. If I die tomorrow, a lot of people are going to be inspired. I had a guy, if you go on, and this is not bragging because everything that I do, God gets all the glory because it's not me that does it, he does it through me. So this book right here is Changing Lives. This guy, this is Success with Listings. You guys should all have this, but he just left me a 5-star review on, he said it's the greatest real estate book of all time. And this book right here, guess what? When I'm dead and gone, people are still going to be blessed by the things that I've left behind. Same thing with you. It's the things that you've left behind and the things that you've actually stored up. You know, Scripture says, store up your treasure in heaven, not on earth, right? So I wanted to share that with you. And I think there's one more thing that I want to just convey in this book, Letting Go. And that is, and then, by the way, you guys can be sharing some things that you're getting out of this as well, those of you that are doing the work. Now, I know some of you guys aren't doing the work. By the way, I pray for you guys every single day. One of the things that I'm about to do is I'm about to start, or the Lord just put this, the Holy Spirit put this on my heart, to go ahead and start a prayer group within our Mentorship Masters. And the idea that came to mind, unless Patty Lynn or one of you guys has a better idea, which I wouldn't doubt if you do, because the only idea I had in mind was just put a post up and say, here's our prayer list, okay? And then, because that's what we do at my weekly Bible study. You know, I've been a Bible teacher since 1988, and I taught a weekly Bible study just about every week since then, since I was 18 years old. And one of the things we do is we have a prayer list, and we just we don't put the specifics of what the prayers are because that gets a little sometimes too personal. We just put names on there, and we put the name of the person and who added them. And so I'm just going to add a post like prayer list, and then we can just start adding names to it of people that we want to pray for. Because, you know, prayer, I believe prayer does change things. But I was going to say, I pray for you guys every single day, and the Holy Spirit reveals to me certain things. I mean, I live probably more in the spirit realm than I live in what a lot of people call the real realm. I got news for you guys, and most of y'all know this. We are spirit beings, okay? So the way Wayne Dyer put it is that the way he says it is, your body is no more than a garage where you temporarily park your soul. That's all the body is, okay? We are spirit beings. And so I live more in the spirit realm than I live in this realm, if you will. Jesus said, store up your treasure, not on earth, but where? In heaven. And Christ said, you are not of the world. You're in the world, but you're not of the world. By the way, when he said you're not of the world, you know what that word of means? It means the word from. From, okay? Y'all didn't know I was getting a theological study here today. So the word, basically what he was saying is, you're not from the world, okay? So back then they would say, hey, I'm Knolly of Austin, or I'm David Speedy of San Antonio, or New Braunfels, wherever it is. Or I'm, Robert of Seattle. Well, he said, you're not of the world. And the word, and all we were saying is, hey, I'm Knolly of, like Paul of Tarsus, or Saul of Tarsus, or you could say Jesus of Nazareth. Okay. So he says, you are not of the world. So the word of means the word from. Okay. So what that means is we're not from here. Okay. So then when Jesus said, be in the world, but not of the world, you're in the world, but you're not of the world. This world is not your home. We're not supposed to really be setting roots here. Okay. We're just sojourners. We're traveling through this realm. Okay. Our real where our real home is heaven. And that's the reason why Jesus, in Jeremiah, the Lord spoke to him and says, I knew you before I created you in your mother's womb. Said the same thing to David. Okay. So I pray for you guys. And the reason I started bringing up the whole spirit realm thing is because I know that some of you guys are not doing the work. Okay. Because the Spirit reveals to me that you're not. And it's okay. If you're okay with what you have and you don't want to do the work, that's on you. You know, I'm not taking any personal culpability or responsibility for your success. All I can do is take you to the water and say, drink up. And whether or not you drink it is really, it's what we call, and what I practice is called detached compassion. I love you, but I'm not going to go down with you. Does that make sense? It's tough love in a way. So the last thing I want to talk about on letting go, guys, this is such an important book for you to dig into. Get past your own personal blocks to read material like this, even if it doesn't quite make sense to you, because when we talk about the emotional body, this will unlock a lot of things that you that are mysteries to you about the emotional body and the way the emotional body works. Remember, the human body is like a battery. Okay, so we have a central nervous system that has a positive and a negative charge on it. Okay, so in the Asian culture, they call it the yin and the yang. Okay, and in other cultures, so I don't want to get too far in that because that's a whole study of its own. But I just want to read one other thing. You guys got to keep me on track. Keep Uncle Knolly on track, y'all. So the mechanism of letting go involves being aware of a feeling, letting it come up, staying with it, and letting it run its course without wanting to make it different or do anything about it. Now, when we say that, this is very important, and I want you to understand this, and then I'm going to shut up and allow you guys to chime in or go on to the next thing. So the mechanism of letting go, the whole practice really revolves around one thing, and that's touch and stay. Touch and stay. See, what most people do when they have an emotion welling up within them, it might be fear, shame, guilt, anger. It might be pride. What they do is they suppress their feelings. Okay, and this is, for example, in the allopathic community, the medical realm. If you look at drugs, conventional drugs, most drugs, all they do is push down the symptomology, the symptoms. Okay, I'll give you an example. So I took allergy medication since I was 15 years old. I've been off allergy medication for about 3.5 years. All I had to do was change my diet. Now, the allergy medication was not healing me. It was not making me well. All it was doing was suppressing the symptoms, okay? So when the symptomology went away, it gave me the illusion that I had been cured, but I really wasn't. And so the moment I would skip a couple of days of taking the allergy medication, I would have allergies again. So what was really happening is I was never curing. Okay, so you may have a seed of anger within you. You might have a seed of doubt or fear or jealousy, or you might have a seed of pride. And every time you continue to push that down because, oh, I'm not supposed to feel this way, all you're doing is suppressing the emotion and waiting for it to explode one day, or just letting it hide within you so it's never really dealt with. Okay, the process of clearing blocks, when we talk about, because you've heard me use this terminology, is that when an emotion comes up within you, it may be anger, an intense anger. And by the way, guys, don't look to emotions to have ration, okay? Because we're rational beings. So we're like, I just feel overwhelmingly guilty. I know there's no reason why I should feel this way. Or for example, some people go through depression. They feel an overwhelm of depression, and they can't tie it to anything. Well, what you're trying to do is you're trying to rationalize feelings. Feelings are irrational. They don't have, now sometimes there is a rational reason. Like guilt has a good purpose. Like you stole something, you should feel guilty, right? But you can't, that's why one of my favorite preachers, he's a little bit crazy, but Jesse Duplantis, he said, I don't let my feelings tell me how to feel, okay? The way you do that is, it's a technique called letting go, the pathway to surrender. And what you do is you allow the emotion to be there and be okay with it. Let it run its course. Don't put any judgment on it, and let it pass through. The truth is, guys, even and I'm going to say this last thing. I'm like those preachers that are like, oh, one last thing, right? Even in wailing, okay, so in some cultures, they have a tradition where they would actually wail for their loved ones. They would actually weep and cry out loud. Well, I don't know about you, but I've never done that. It's a little bit against manhood, if you will, to do that. But really, it's supposed to be very helpful, because what happens is you exhaust the emotion. And people that don't do that, what happens is they end up living with the grief for years, decades sometimes. And they never really resolve the issue. So anyway, just a couple of points that I wanted to point out from the book, Letting Go. And I see a couple of comments here, and then I want to get to the big announcement, and then I'm going to open it up for questions. Okay, so so Robert Graham is saying that this whole concept is covered in depth in Kevin Trudeau's Your Wish Is Your Command, disc number 4. I feel like Robert Graham's going to be teaching that class soon, because he has really gotten into and I wish that for all of you guys, that you would get into Kevin Trudeau's Your Wish Is Your Command. That's out there it's a free, like 13 hours of audio. Super highly recommended. I've listened to it about 3 times. And he says that talks about how we attract the vibrational energy that we project. Yeah. And if you look at it, because a lot of times those of us that come from a Christian background, we're like, ooh, that sounds new age, or that sounds kind of, but when you match it up with the words of Christ, a lot of people don't like reading the Bible. I say, hey, if you don't like reading the Bible, just read the New Testament. If you don't like just want to read the whole New Testament, just read the words in red. and you match up what you're hearing to the words of Christ, you're like, wow, it puts a new profound understanding to the things of Scripture. And then, oh, yeah. All right. Oh, look at Sam. Somebody says, would you take a look at Sam's blinking name badge? Yeah. So Sam Silver, I thought you were going to keep that as a secret, Sam. We might all show up with those. So Sam Silver, you have that with magnets behind it, right? So you can't pull it off and show. But if you look at his name badge, it's like a marquee. So it scrolls. It has his name, his website, his phone number. It's pretty darn awesome. So you're stealing the show here, Sam, with that. Yeah, it's awesome. And then everybody wants to know now where you get this dang name badge. All right, so we're gonna move on into the next piece, and Sam will share with us where he may not share it with anybody else, but he'll share with us masters where he got his name badge, because I'm eager to know that as well. So I promise to keep this next piece. So Robert says the book Success with Listings has opened a door to my destiny. Equally as EXP has helped me progress more toward my future because of all the positive energy that's opened up for me with this great opportunity. Thank you so much for that, Robert. Love it, brother. Love it. And I love that you guys are on fire. So I want to share with you my intention. I'm going to say this. My intention is to do a short video, about 12, 15 minutes, called Attraction Secrets, where I walk through, I've already got the slide deck finished, where I walk you guys through some of my best strategies for attracting agents to EXP. But I'm mindful that that's not the goal of everyone here, but you're going to start hearing people say things to you like, how in the world do you have a smile on your face? Why are you starting to sell more houses? Why are you being more successful? And then you're going to want to share with them, oh, well, you don't know about Mentorship Masters? What? You know, and so that they could become a part of this group with you as their sponsor. So we actually have 3 things for that, and write these down, because I'm just going to give them to you quickly, and then I'm going to do another video that only is about this, and I'll put that out on our membership portal. By the way, all of you guys should be able to access the Mentorship Masters members portal. If you're having problems accessing that, let me know. Okay, so the first, so these are tools that you have access to that no other EXP agent has, okay? So we're gonna keep this amongst ourselves. Number 1, you guys have access to an attraction site, okay? Because I like to build funnels, I've built, for you guys that want it, not everybody has one, but those of you that have requested, you have your own attraction site that's specifically branded to you, okay? The second thing you have is the new announcement that I want to talk to you about, and that's what we call an auto webinar. An auto webinar. It's a masterclass, okay? So if you go to, don't go there now, but if you go to Mentorship Masters Group /masterclass, that's a link that you can give to anyone, and they can enroll to be a part of that masterclass. Okay, it's a 90-minute masterclass that it basically, you know, they sign up for it and then they join into the masterclass. It's 90 minutes long and it's completely generic. So the way we've actually put this together, it's just another tool for you to give out, okay? The way we put it together is, by the way, it's working like a charm, guys, because what happens when people go to the masterclass, here's what the masterclass is. It's basically, I talk about Mentorship Masters for about 25 minutes or so. And then I take it away to Brent Gove, you know, the 30-minute Brent Gove video. And Brent talks all about EXP and the benefits of EXP. And then I come back on at the end of that and I talk a little bit more about Mentorship Masters. And the way that I talk about it, I say, look, it's completely generic. So they're not going to sign up under me. They're going to sign up under you. Because the way I talk about it, I say, now Mentorship Masters is a members only group and it's exclusive. You can only join Mentorship Masters by invitation of another master. So when you go to fill out your you know, when they go to fill out their EXP application, I say, put the name of the master that recommended, you know, that sent you this masterclass. So they automatically will put you down. So if I didn't send them the masterclass, they're not going to put my name down. They're going to put your name down. So it's just another great tool that you can just give to people, and it completely explains from A to Z what they're going to get with EXP and what they're going to get with Mentorship Masters. So it's another great tool. And then the third tool is the three-way call. Write that down, the three-way call. So remember, guys, I'm available for you. And I know Robert Graham is already in the process of setting several of these up. Don't think like you have to talk to people on your own. Just if it's getting too, like they're asking too many questions, just say, look, let me put my mentor, my sponsor on the phone, and let's do a three-way call. And then all you got to do is text me. Let me know what time. I'll try to be available for you to do that three-way call with you. They usually run about 30 minutes. And then that way you don't have to be the person selling EXP to them. Let me do that for you. That's another resource. So you have your attraction site. You've got the auto webinar that you can just send people to, let them register. And you've got the three-way call. Okay, so you've got all three of those resources for you. A lot of people ask, well, how do I present the opportunity for EXP? I think the best way to do it, the way I've done pretty much all of them is like if I'm talking to an agent, like I just closed the deal today, so I'm gonna say, hey, you know, Cherry, it's been great working with you. I really enjoyed working with you on this deal. And by the way, I know you're probably not interested in this because I know you're happy where you are. However, I'm part of a great mentorship group. And if you happen to come across any agents that you think could use this, okay, could you please, you know, share this information? By the way, would you do me a favor and go ahead and watch the masterclass so that you can, because here's the thing, guys, they're gonna get some valuable information from the masterclass, whether they join Mentorship Masters or not. You guys know how I do my trainings. It's a 90-minute training. So they're gonna be like, wow, this is so valuable. Whether they join us or not, it's gonna be up to them, okay? But I can tell you the people that have gone through the masterclass, they're really excited because it helps them to get the full picture in a way that even the attraction site can't do, because it walks them through from A to Z. Okay, so let me look. There's a couple of, we're almost at we're pretty far into this. So I'm gonna just start taking your questions. Yeah, Mentorship Masters Group / Masterclass. Yeah, Judy says, oh my God, Knolly, you go above and beyond. Yeah, I want you guys to succeed, you know, and I'm constantly asking myself, what am I doing? What have I done for you guys lately? And what have I not done that I could do? Most of the ideas that I get for the stuff that I do come from you guys, to be honest with you. So if you're having struggles in certain areas, just let me know. Because once I know about it, I'm like, well, golly, another member might be struggling with the same thing, okay? So yeah, I like to go above and beyond. In fact, there's another weekly class that was really the class that I promised you guys that you would have. I don't know if you guys remember when you signed up to Mentorship Masters, I told you that you'd have a weekly call with my sponsor, which is Kevin and Fred. And I know very few of you guys are actually attending that weekly call. It's part of the Exponential Collaboration Group. And so I want you guys to be attending those classes every week, because these guys are in the, you know, when you attend my call, you're going to get stuff like letting go. and it leaves you like, okay, but I want some tactics that will allow me to sell real estate right now. What I'm doing is I'm giving you stuff that you'll be able to take with you until you're 90 years old and use for the rest of your life to have success. What they're giving you is stuff that, how did they get 5 new listings last week? So it's really a completely different set of things that you learn in each class. So you definitely want to be part of that weekly coaching group as well. And I think they keep theirs down to about 30, 40 minutes. Sometimes it does go for an hour. Okay. Is the opportunity Mentorship Masters available for real estate pros only or other industries, software, aerospace? So Mentorship Masters is only available to to people that either I have sponsored through EXP or you guys have sponsored to EXP. So any Mentorship Masters can invite another member to be part of Mentorship Masters. The caveat being that they have to switch brokerages. Obviously, they've got to join EXP. I was talking to a gal today. I just happened to be in the grocery store, and I was wearing my cowboy hat stuff, and this lady came up to me. She was like, "Are you Knolly Williams?" I was like, "Yeah," and I shook her hand. She's been to some of my classes. She's got my book, and I started telling her about Mentorship Masters. And here's the thing. Right now, she's struggling. She's not meeting her goals, and she's like, "Oh, but I don't want to leave my brokerage." Well, wait a minute. You just told me you're not meeting your goals, but that doesn't make sense. So, like, you mean you're going to a restaurant and they're not feeding you, or you're not getting enough food, and the food is kind of like a 3-star rating, and I'm giving you a 5-star opportunity? Yeah, you got to go to a different restaurant to get it. So what? So obviously they're not at the point where it's hurting bad enough for them. But some people, they just, like I was talking to a gal today, she's doing great. She's selling 30 plus homes a year, but she really sees better for herself. So it's really the people that actually get it. And even if they tell you that, guys, like, "Oh, I don't want to switch brokerages," I get that, because I certainly wasn't one to want to switch brokerages. It's the last thing I wanted to do. And I'm sure many of you are in the same place. But just keep loving them. I give you guys permission. The reason why every single one of these Mentorship Masters calls that we have like this, I actually record them and I put them on YouTube unlisted on YouTube. So that means you can't find it on YouTube if you Google it or you search it, but you do have the link to it because you're a Mentorship Master. So when you go to the portal and you click on that video, you can actually open it up in YouTube, and you have the permission, my permission, to share any of these classes with people that you're talking to and say, "Hey, Knolly did a class on letting go or emotional issues." And then you share that with them, share the YouTube link, and they'll be able to watch it. Okay. So that's the reason why I put them out on YouTube as unlisted. If you guys need to share that with them so they can let them see what they're missing, right? Okay, class suggestion. Recommend lead generation options based on the disc profile. Okay, that's good. I think that'd be a good class. That'd be a great class to have. David Speedy's asking for that. Sam Silver says everyone has to hit rock bottom, their rock bottom. It's interesting, Sam. We would think that everybody has their own rock bottom to hit. But honestly, when I came to EXP, I was doing great. Like I was an icon at Keller Williams. Like I could call any team leader or OP in the country. I could fly. They'll fly me in. I teach a class, walk away. I was generating. This was a $700,000 a year business. Okay, I was generating about $50,000 to $60,000 a month just teaching classes. And I'll tell you guys how I did it. So just because I want to share everything that I do. I want you guys to know how I do it. So it's all math, guys. So I would go into a class and I would teach. I would have 100 people there. Okay, so 100 people would show up, and I have 30% consistently. I mean, just consistent. 30% of people would sign up to get my complete toolkit. Okay, so that toolkit at the event is $697. That's $700. Okay, so I would sell 30 of them. Okay, minimum. So that's $21,000. Now, by the way, there's way, obviously with the toolkit, you can get sponsors to pay for it and all that. So that would give me 21 grand. Sponsors would fly me in, pay for my hotels, do all that kind of stuff. So it didn't cost the market center any money. Then I had my $97 a month club, which is the next level insiders club. And I would get a percentage of people to sign up for that. Okay. So at every event that I did, and then I had my $297, like a Masterclass that I would discount to $150. So it's just all numbers. So every single time that I went to do an event, I'd walk away with about 40,000, anywhere from 35 to 40,000. So I would do 2 events a month and I'd make 70 to 80,000. So other teachers were flying in and they were paying them like $2,000 or $2,500 to teach, or $1,500. And I'd be like, don't pay me anything, because my product stood for themselves and I was able to sell a percentage of the room. Okay. That's how I did it. So I do 2 classes a month. I'm making 70 to 80 grand a month. That's what I gave up to join EXP, because no Keller Williams office would ever have me come in again, right? And we don't have training rooms for me to go on. So I gave up a $700,000 to $800,000 a year income, okay, to join EXP. Why did I do it? Well, because I know that this is a much bigger opportunity than that, okay? It's going to take me some time to realize it, but this is a much bigger opportunity for me than $700,000-800,000. I did the math on it, guys. I'm a businessman, you know, so I guarantee you, you don't even want me to start telling you what some of these guys are making, because you won't even believe it, okay? And that's the trajectory for where I'm at. You know, it's one of those things where I've been a businessman since I was 13 years old. It's kind of hard to reconcile when you're a person that loves to do ministry, but you also love business. And I always have. God has always placed me in a situation where I would be a businessman. And can you be a billionaire and still follow Jesus Christ? Yeah. You know, why not? You know? And so I think Ross Perot did it pretty well. So I don't have any problem following in the destiny that God has for me. And that's what I'm doing. So, okay. But the point is, to Sam Silver's point, not everybody has to hit rock bottom, because I wasn't at rock bottom. I just looked at EXP as another, just like the evolution of the game. It's the evolution of the game. And where am I going to be in 5 years? Well, I know where I'm going to be in 5 years, because God placed me in this company. And I tell you, you can succeed at any company like I could have succeeded at any company in the world, but what's going to give me the best platform? And that's what I believe, you know, that's why I'm here. So any other questions you guys have? You can either unmute yourself or you can add to the group chat for any other questions. Yeah, Robert says EXP is more broad-based. The percentage of individuals looking to grow not only their business model, but also their personal one. Yeah, remember, EXP is on a trajectory to grow to over 100,000 agents. Okay, right now we're only at 21,000, 22,000. So we've got a lot of, I guarantee you, somebody's going to hear about EXP and you're going to be like, why didn't they join under me, right? And so I've talked to 3 agents this week that joined EXP, and had they known, they would have joined Mentorship Masters, but they didn't know. And so I've got a lot of work to do. I'm by no means where God wants me to be in terms of my recruiting or my attracting. Sam says, the more you give, the more you receive. No doubt about it. That's biblical, no doubt. I love it. I feel like some of you guys may have questions for me that are more on the real estate vein. To David Speedy's point, if you guys want me to kind of do a review of disc profiling and what lead generation is better for certain types, I can tell you, I'll give you the cliff notes of it. When you read, this is kind of a cliff notes for disc profiling. By the way, when you disc profile somebody, a lot of people want to know, based on their disc profile, if they're cut out to do a certain thing. And I don't use it that way. In fact, when I hire someone, let's say if I'm hiring them to the team, the disc profile only plays about 15% in my decision, okay? So the disc profile has nothing to do, for me, for some people it does, but for me, it's not so much about whether or not they would be good as a real estate agent, because anybody can be good as a real estate agent. Doesn't matter what profile you have. It's more so, how do I interact with that individual? Okay, what makes them tick? Okay, and so if you read through this book, Triple My Listings, and you come across something that just doesn't resonate with you, it's just not in your disc profile. That's all it is. Like if it doesn't, by the way, when you start to learn how to read your gut, a lot of people make fun of gut, G-U-T. It means gave up thinking. You know, at Keller Williams, they used to say this all the time. Gut means you gave up thinking. Well, duh. God gave us see, this brain can get in the way sometimes. If I was using this brain, I guarantee you I would have never joined EXP, because it didn't make sense. I was on a gravy train. It's like, if I was to look at it on paper, I'm like, nah, you know. Now some things did make sense on paper, but I'm saying in my gut, I knew it was the right move. Okay. And so I just had to check that in prayer, talking to the Holy Spirit and so on. So there's going to be certain things that when you read this, they don't resonate with you. The reason they don't resonate with you is because they're just outside your profile. That's a real quick way to do that. If you guys want me to get more specific on that, I can, because I've been studying the DISC profile for a decade or more.
Hey, Knolly.
Yeah, Mina, go ahead.
Hey, sorry, I've been driving, listening, so I can't type, but I was hoping that maybe we could kind of go through, maybe not another call, but to do the net sheet so that I could be a little more precise when I'm doing that with like listings and with my buyers.
Yeah.
To bring down the bottom line down or whatever. Like all the other stuff you're talking about, I feel like I'm there. So.
I think that's great, Mina, because yeah, Mina's on fire, guys. I mean, she's just, it's just like me. I didn't know any better. So when I got my first mentor, I just did what they said. I didn't know another way to do it. So I just did. And she's doing everything that I say. She's on blind faith, and she's doing gangbusters. The problem you're going to start having, Mina, is going to be a challenge of overwhelm in that you're doing so much business that it becomes a thing where, how do I leverage myself? Because you want to continue to work 4 hours a day. How do you do that when you're doing 50, 60, 70, 100 deals a year? Okay. When I was doing 150 deals a year, I was working about 3 to 4 hours a week. You know, I remember having a class one time, and the guy told me, I had Hollis Dean, who ran my real estate team at the time. He was my operations manager. And I was teaching the class, and I was up front, and Hollis was in the class. And I said, now guys, I work about 3 or 4 hours a week. And last week we took 16 listings. So I was just sharing that, just as this is a possibility for you. And Hollis just started laughing and laughing. And I mean, he just started laughing and busting up. I was like, Hollis, dude, what's up, man? You know, let us in on it. He said, man, you don't work no 3 hours a week. You probably work an hour a week. You know, that was kind of the running joke. Because checks would just show up. Like I spent most of my time, and I'm not bragging on this, guys. I'm just sharing with you a different way of existing. Okay, I spent most of my time just pulling up my bank statement every day and trying to cross-reference what these deposits were. Okay, so I would, you know, if you're getting, I mean, at one time we had 126 listings. Okay, so if you're getting all these deposits hitting your account and you say, okay, this was that one, this was that, it's almost like you're reconciling I mean, that's what you spend most of your time doing, figuring out where the money's coming from. So I would call Hollis every now and then. I'd say, hey man, this $4,836.15, what was that for? And he just get a kick out of it. Like you're trying to figure out where money's coming from, you know? And so that's just a different level of a game. And when you get to that point, the biggest issue you're going to have, Mina, is with leverage. Okay. Now, to your point about doing the net sheet, I'm actually going to do a separate video exactly on how to do that. I'm going to do it this week because what I found is that a lot of times I'll bury certain trainings within the Mentorship Masters call. Like I'll show you guys how to do something. And the last thing a person wants to do is go through a 1 hour call to try to find that 10 minutes where I taught something, you know what I mean? So I started doing it where, you know what, I'm just gonna do like 10-minute video trainings on stuff you guys wanna know about. Unless it requires an entire call like the one we're having now, then I can do a separate call on it. But I can teach you the net sheet. That would take me about, that's like a 10-minute training. So I'll put that together for sure. And if you guys wanna see other trainings like that that are small in nature, let me know. Let's see. Oh, so yeah, go ahead, David.
For me to say, if you're doing the net sheet at the end, that's one thing from the title company. But if you're just trying to do something initially with a like a seller, I use the app from the title company where you just do it on your phone, and then You can send, generate a real quick report. It shows like, well, if you sell it for this much, it'll be this much, and it's very nice to kind of just make them comfortable with what they're going to walk away with as an estimate.
Yeah, David, stay with me for a minute. So a lot of people, David, are afraid to do them because now I've been doing them since jump from the beginning. I happen to use zip forms, but a lot of people are afraid to do it because they're afraid they don't want to be wrong about something like that, right? So a lot of times what they do is they have their title company do it for them, things like that. But what I feel as a lister, when you start to become a heavy lister, it will really handicap you if you don't know how to do those. You really, like David said, you really need to be able to do those yourself and have now what I always put a caveat to it, and I tell my sellers, this is going to be accurate within $500 to $800, give or take, Now you're using the numbers that they gave you, okay? So that's important as well. But yeah, good point. David uses an app for it. I happen to use, I just use zip forms for it. And that's been, but then again, I think David Speedy's a little bit more cutting edge. I have to admit it that I'm a little bit old school, and I go in and just get it done, get the listing. But I think his way is a little bit more accurate because if you really haven't had a pricing conversation with them, it becomes a little awkward to do the net sheet in advance, even though I always do. So I like that, David. Thank you so much.
Well, the thing about the app is you can send it by email, you can send it, text it, whatever, and then instead of like having to gather up all the information, as long as you're using a title company that's in that area, they've got all the information in there, what the tax rates are, what everything.
I think that's a great point. And Sam Silver just said use the title company app. So I like that, guys. That's great. Hey, and that's the reason why we're here, guys. We all are here to benefit each other. So it's not just my knowledge, but I think the title companies So the title companies, Patty Lynn is saying that the title companies can do that for you. But again, if you're going on 2 or 3 listing appointments a week, it becomes a little, you don't want to have, there's a bottleneck. And as much of that, things that you can learn to do on your own to prevent a bottleneck, you don't really want to rely on someone else if you can avoid it. Using the title company app limits your liability a bit as well. I like that. So Sam Silver says, by the way, I'm going to Vegas. So I'll be in Vegas in August. We have a leadership conference. I think you guys should know that I'm one of the top 44 agents at eXp for attraction. I don't know where I rank within that 44. But they only gave out 44 awards for agents that have brought on X number of like 10 or more. Thank you for the congratulations. Yeah, it's I didn't expect to get an award or anything, but out of 21,000 agents, I'm in the top 40, if you will. So that's really, really exciting. I take my job real seriously. I'm just about to change my business card to where it says recruiter, like under my title. I'm doing it. A lot of people are afraid of that word, but hey, the Army uses it. They have recruiters. The headhunters of big corporations, when they're going after a big, CEO or CFO, they're recruiters. That's what their job is, And honestly, that's kind of my job, Director of attraction. Yeah, I love it. So there definitely are some agents there that are kicking my butt, like GoGo. Man, she is just crushing it. She's got a bunch of, I don't even tell people how many recruits I have because it's, after you have a certain amount, it just becomes something that you don't really want. Every one of you guys should be doing the 2. That's, 2 by, well, what we call do the 2 is something different, but 2 by 20 is the thing. So you want to try to get those 2 recruits, and I say 3, before 2020. I'm here to help you do that. It changes your life when you can start sharing the successes that you have with someone else. Okay, that's our time, guys. If you have anything else for Uncle Knolly, be sure to take it over to, Judy says, don't use the word recruiter on social media, LOL. I received an EXP email. Oh, are they against that word? Because I know the political word is attraction at EXP. I think it's a little bit silly, but I think it's a softer term. I definitely think it's a nicer term. But I just enjoy, like, if I meet somebody and they're a real estate agent and they say, well, what do you do? I say, I'm a recruiter. Oh, really? Well, yeah, I recruit real estate agents, you know? Partnership master. I mean, I'm old school. I like recruiter, but I haven't used it anywhere. The archangel of attraction. Ooh, Sabu, that's good, buddy. That's good. All right, we're getting giddy, y'all. Let's go on to the next thing. I love you guys, and I appreciate you from the bottom of my heart. It says many people are profiling EXP as an MLM company. It is an MLM company. I mean, I don't know any other way to say it. I had a guy. He emailed me. He was upset, and he was like, "Dude, this is just like Amway meets real estate." And I was like, "And, like, to your point, I mean, I've been a member of many ML. Like I use Young Living Essential Oils. That's a multi-level marketing company. See, multi-level marketing. A lot of people give it a bad connotation, but there's nothing bad about it. It's just a different business model. Okay, so some companies do retail sales. I think this is a good conversation. I'll keep it short. Some companies do retail sales. That's how they introduce their products to market. Other companies, what they do is they just do maybe wholesale. That's how they introduce their products to market. Some companies only do mail order, and that's how they introduce their products to market. Okay, and some companies do it by word of mouth. They're called multi-level marketing companies. Now, instead of you learning how to sell shampoos, soaps, and toothpaste, you're just selling real estate, and you're getting paid referral fees. Okay, so if you went and saw a great movie and you told your friend, hey man, have you seen the new Marvel movie? Okay, are they paying you to give a referral? Yeah, you're doing more or less multi-level marketing, because that person's going to tell their friend, it's going to tell their friend. That the only difference is you're not getting paid for it. Okay, every single day you recommend products and services to people. The only difference with EXP is we actually reward you for doing it. Okay, you do this already, guys. Okay, if you're part of a great company that you love, you're going to tell people about it. Okay, so having it, and again, I'm not going to have this. I wouldn't argue with someone about if they're turned off because maybe they had a bad experience with multi-level marketing. And that has nothing to do with EXP. It's just their own experiences that they're projecting onto this, okay? But I got to tell you guys, it is an MLM. So is Keller Williams. Keller Williams is an MLM. Now, the difference is that EXP has an MLM piece to it, okay? It's basically a platform to sell real estate. But we have an MLM component. We also have a stock, NASDAQ component, and we have other pieces. Okay, so that snap in. So I think it's very, if that's going to be the elephant in the room, it's like, duh. and why is that bad? You see what I'm saying? Yeah, you guys love the prayer group. Appreciate that. Yeah, Sam says next. If you were done bad by Amway and you can't get over that, so you want to project that onto EXP, that's not my problem. EXP is the most brilliant model of reward that I've ever seen. So you mean to tell me that you'd rather your broker keep all the money instead of, like, what's the difference? I mean, anyway, that's a whole nother. All right, love you guys. I will let you go this time. Until next time, we're going to try to do another one of these next week. Patty Lynn's going to look at my schedule, as crazy as that may sound, and we're going to try to get this rocking for you. And if you have any other questions for me, carry them over to our Facebook group, okay, in Workplace. Love y'all. See you next time.